few months ago, a group of young entrepreneurs pitched me an idea, an AI-powered trading assistant called InvestGPT. I'll admit I was skeptical, but within weeks of trying it, I was impressed. This tool doesn't just analyze data, it predicts market moves with insane precision. I've used dozens of platforms in my life, but nothing comes close. InvestGPT is fast, intuitive, and razor sharp. It's like having a top-tier analyst working for me 24/7. My returns? Let's just say they speak for themselves. Join now and experience the future of trading with InvestGPT.
What you just saw on your screens, viewers, was not real. But what if you had believed it? What would make you doubt this video? After all, the video on your screen looks, talks, and dresses exactly like our Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman. And an endorsement deal by your country's Finance Minister would only solidify your approach to invest and go invest. And that's exactly what the scammer wanted. A scheme called Go Invest used deepfakes of the Prime Minister, the Finance Minister, to manipulate and trick thousands of people to promote a fake scheme promising lakhs per month on a 21,000 rupee investment. Now, the scheme systematically exploited figures with authority, institutional branding, and public sentiment to make people believe them. And that's what these deepfakes do. They target trusted public figures to create a misleading sense of legitimacy. Now, all of this comes also at a time when SEBI has already warned investors against fake messages which have misused the regulator's logo, letterhead, and even the names of its officials. Earlier, SEBI had also highlighted some of the common types of scams, which can be in the form of unregistered investment advisory services or impersonation or SEBI-registered entities. People have already lost lakhs due to the rise in these deepfake scams, and the threat is only rising. But not anymore. Good evening, my name is Sanjana and this is The Big Question. At NDTV Profit, we have launched a campaign to expose and curb deepfakes to protect you and your money. So stay with us as we ask the big question this evening. How can India outsmart deepfake scams? And to quickly introduce my panelists this evening, I have Saikat Datta, CEO and co-founder Deepstrat, Rakshit Tandon, Cybersecurity Advisor, Law Enforcement Agency, Abhinav Dhal, Associate Professor, Data Science and Artificial Intelligence, Monash University. Abhinav, I have to say thank you so much. I believe you're joining us from Australia and it is in fact 10:30 in the night there. So thank you so much for joining us and thank you to all of the gentlemen joining me this evening. I'm going to do something a little bit differently this evening. I'm going to ask one question to all of you and I'd request if you could keep it concise. One question. Deepfakes are becoming increasingly realistic and accessible. What we just saw on our screens, anybody could have been fooled by it. What in your view, and we'll go around the screen or the room, what in your view is the single greatest risk that they pose to society today? I'm going to come to you, Saikat, first on that.
Hi, thank you, Sanjana, for having me here. Very quickly to answer your question, we would categorize deepfakes in what we would usually call misinformation or malinformation,
okay,
coupled with cyber fraud. Now, this lies at the intersection of both, and I would first of all treat it as a national security threat because, as we have seen, this can have a debilitating effect and impact not only on your markets, your investments, your economic well-being. It could also have other national security implications. So that is at the level of which I would treat this threat. And as you have seen recently in the concluded Operation Sindoor, we've seen Pakistan actually trying to weaponize a lot of misinformation and malinformation to target us and our well-being. And if you look at the definition of critical information infrastructure, it actually identifies threats like this and defines them as any threat which could have a debilitating impact on our economic and national security. So that's where I would place this.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Abhinav, I'm going to come to you. What do you think is the greatest risk that they pose to society today?
Well, I think the quality of deepfakes is increasing incredibly. So the biggest threat is the trust in news itself. What if I do not agree to a video? What if I do not agree to an audio message? Can I simply say that it is a fake? So there is this uncanny valley situation now, which is happening with the increasing number of deepfakes which are being created and uploaded online. So I would say the trust essentially in media that is going to be under question because we don't know who manipulated it. We don't know who changed it.
Excellent. And Rakshit?
So I think, Sanjana, the biggest threat, what I feel here is right now, the kind of financial scams we are seeing, where especially in deepfakes, we are seeing they're manipulating people to invest into different platforms. The initial video which you showed, there are similar cases where a gentleman in Bangalore lost 95 lakh rupees in a deepfake of Narayan Murthy and Mukesh Ambani promoting an investment scam. And they are people, their aggressive views on social media, there's so much of audio video content and it can be easily manipulated. There's another threat which I look at it is when I work with young netizens across India, and I see there are cases of extortion, blackmailing, where these deepfakes are being generated from their videos, and they've been manipulated into something very inappropriate. And they are easily available. And the sad part is that you just have to Google a keyword and you will find thousands and millions of links and apps promoting it, where one picture can be created into a deep nude. And there has been a lot of cyber stalking and blackmailing incidences being reported where these pictures are being manipulated to harass individuals.
Okay, okay. Thank you so much for that insight. Saikat, I'm going to come to you now. So given all of these risks, what strategic or policy interventions do you believe are most urgently needed to help organizations and governments stay ahead of these kind of deepfake threats? Because let's remember, the videos that are in question are high quality. And, you know, one can't really spot these errors.
Absolutely right, Sanjana. So any solution like this will first we'll have to recognize what is the size and scale of the problem.
Okay.
And solutions will have to be customized to address those particular problems. Like the one you started the program with, where they're trying to leverage the finance minister and a deep fake of hers to try and promote an investment scam. In law enforcement, we call this is one of the things that's become very prevalent right now, is what we call investment scams. And we are seeing even CEOs and CMDs of some companies who get become victims of this. So from a solution point of view, first of all, we'll have to have mechanisms. And when I say mechanisms, for example, today the Press Information Bureau does an excellent job of doing fact checking, and they try within their remit to try and prove whatever is false as quickly as possible. But they alone trying to do this will not be enough. So if you see, for example, today SEBI, the case that you mentioned, they have been reaching out and pointing out that any advisory that comes from them has a unique identification number. So how to couple messaging, which is what the PIB is doing, what your regulators, whether it is the RBI, whether it is SEBI, or whether it is NCIPC or certain, whichever are the major agencies, they themselves have to leverage their communication power and combine it and work as one unit. The third thing, which is very, very critical, is that literacy. When we talk about media literacy, how do we encourage our potential victims to not get swayed by something which could look very believable, but encourage them towards going towards authentic sites? Like if something is coming from SEBI, why don't you do a simple check as a design mechanism on the SEBI website? Or something coming from a bank or an RBI, why don't you look at it from that perspective? These little tweaks is where we will be able to do some bit, but also eventually we'll also have to increase capacity, whether it is law enforcement and other agencies that we have.
Absolutely, and that's where we'll bring in Rakshit and his expertise. Rakshit, building on the policy perspective, so how are then law enforcement agencies adapting their investigative techniques and digital forensics to respond to this evolving challenge of deepfakes in criminal activities, right? Because it's almost like AI and deepfakes is moving and evolving so fast that it is also taking the various systems, and this is across the board. I'm not just saying from a policy or a law enforcement perspective, across the board, to really wake up and be able to take action before it's too late, you know, because we're already seeing so many people being scammed.
So Sanjana, I've been very actively engaged as an eminent faculty to BP R&D in training and law enforcement. Apart from that, government has taken up these measures to train cyber commandos, and they have a target to train 5 lakh. Already, I think 40 to 50 batches have been completed. They have tied up with the biggest academias in the country, where all these selected law enforcement officer, after a written examination, are being trained for 6 months as a cyber commando. So in terms of capacity building, the action is there. I foresee the Indian Cybercrime Coordination Center, with the help of all their social media handles, are being very active in promoting literacy. And especially, as Saigata said, about these investment scams and crypto scams, which are increasing through private groups on WhatsApps and Telegram, where they create that FOMO, they make you a member, they use all the big pictures which you will find on LinkedIn to come and convince you. And initially, they pay you also, and that is their modus operandi. So you won't believe, last year, 9 months, we had a figure of approximately 4,444 complaints per day being recorded. So, and the majority of them were investment scam, crypto scam, and work from home scam. And there were cases of digital arrest as well. So, in all these scams, deepfake and voice cloning has played a major role. So, in one of the cases, the victim heard the voice of the CJI, Chief Justice of India. His voice was used as a clone to scam him, and that scam costed him 7 crore rupees when he was cheated. So, yes, the law enforcement is in action, and we have seen, and I personally been advising so many states, I have seen a big change. You can see a lot of arrests which are happening, and we are also, we have protected a lot of funds which have been frauded. Yes, though the percentage is less, because this online and digital money moves very fast, very, very fast. So they have started this National Cybercrime Portal 1930, where we say that if you report within the golden hours, definitely a good amount of money can be protected. But at the end of the day, the victim has to develop his cognitive thinking and have the zero trust as a factor, which is very important. Zero trust. MNC in Noida, just on a WhatsApp message, got scammed for 3.52 crores. So why there should be a rechecking? There is a lot of work happening in terms of developing APIs to detect these deepfake scams, and they will be in real time. They will be on your browser, and the moment you are watching a video, it will give you with an indicator, green or red. So all these kind of things are happening in place, and yes, it's like a cat and mouse race. It's like Tom and Jerry, but we are trying the best. Yes.
I really like the aspect of zero trust. And just as a follow-up question, what is a golden hour? Is there a certain time frame that one needs to maintain after the incident has happened?
So when this started, we used to say 24 hours, but now I say 30 seconds or 40 seconds.
Okay.
So the moment you realize you're frauded,
right,
please call. Because as soon as you call, this NCRB, it's an automated portal.
Okay.
The 1930, as soon as you feed in your details that this is what has happened with me, it goes and automatically in the system, it goes, and all the bank nodals and their systems are alerted that this is a fraud transaction, and an immediate lien has been marked on it. So once the lien is marked on it, then the hacker himself cannot take out the money. So that is what this golden hour concept is, that as soon as possible you realize, please make a call on 1930 or report on the portal cybercrime.gov.in.
Cybercrime.gov.in and 1930. Viewers, I hope you're taking notes. I definitely am. Abhinav, from a technical standpoint, what are the most promising advances in AI-driven deepfake detection, and how can these tools then be integrated into, say, a law enforcement or organizational workflows to enhance security?
What's really interesting is that the process of creating deepfakes is actually dependent in part on a process called adversarial learning, which is essentially we would like to detect that if something is of high quality or low quality.
Okay.
And this is what results into a deepfake detector. So we see right now that there is a tremendous amount of effort in academia and industry, along with government partners, to create API, easy to understand systems which can be used not just for audio, video deepfake, but also for detecting AI generated data. What I would say is what we from our naked eye perceive as a high quality audio or a high quality video is not the same for a computer system. It sort of looks at the data at micro level, and it will look for those artifacts. For example, unnatural lip movement, eye movement is off, the tone of the voice, the pitch, that is very robotic. So systems are able to catch up. What is eventually going to happen is that we are going to have deep fake detectors which would work in specific use case scenario. For example, a deep fake detector which works in the KYC authentication platform. Another type of deep fake detector which will be on our mobile phones in the gallery software, and then it can tell that if an audio or image that is actually AI generated. And I would also like to add that there is tremendous amount of work which is happening locally within India and other countries as well. So the startup ecosystem, the larger organizations, they are all coming up with deepfake detectors, because at the end of the day, if we are creating generative AI tools, softwares, methods, they are also automatically enhancing our deepfake detectors as well. The cat and the mouse actually, in this case, walk hand in hand.
So, Rakshit, you spoke about this aspect of cognitive thinking, and I think that it is a fantastic point because, even that very famous show on Netflix, Jamtara, spoke about the lack of cognitive thinking, right? When that phone call happens, and it all happens so quickly. And we're seeing a fair bit of pushback coming in from those that, the scammers are trying to ensnare. There was an incident of a young girl who, thought she was receiving a phone call from her father, and she put the person online, and then she called her father, and all of that, and it was all, discovered. But this is, I still feel like a younger audience, a younger generation. What about the slightly older people that are more susceptible, our grandparents, older parents that are watching this show, that are more susceptible to things like this, who may live alone, who may not have that kind of support, who may not be as tech savvy? What are the measures that they can take to stay alert?
So, Sanjana, you rightly said, when I say cognitive thinking also, I also say what kind of digital diet are we consuming? How it is impacting our mindset? There's so much of overconsumption on, I could say, increase in screen time. And especially there's so much of content on social media, and it plays with your internal emotions. And there are three weaknesses which a human has. One is temptation, or lalach, what we call it. The second is fear, which we have seen a lot of cases of digital arrest. And then third one is called romance and lust. And these are the three major weaknesses on which the hacker plays. So when I see this ad saying that by investing 5,000, I can get a return of 10 lakh, and that too coming from a deepfake, from a celebrity character. And at that time, my cognitive thinking is not seeing to the lip movement, the audio, or the robotic. It is only looking at the catch. The catch is 500. And then when I joined that group, there are 250 members saying to me that my money got doubled. So when you talk of age, I would say the younger ones, the very young ones, and the very senior ones, they are the most vulnerable people. Recently, there was a case which was reported to us where this gentleman wanted to go for a religious yatra, and he searched on Google, and he could not identify between the right website and the fake website. So I also at times use a word called DQ, that our digital quotient, rakshittandan.com or rakshittondon.com, there is a huge difference. And this gentleman went on the fake website, spoke to the guy, deposited all the money for the rooms and everything in advance to a UPI. So suppose my hotel is called Hotel Rakshit Tandon. How can I take the payment in the name of Bhoop Singh? Where is my cognitive thinking? I should be paying the amount to Hotel Rakshit Tandon. And he got frauded for amount of 75,000 rupees. So we always say that stop, think, and then take action. Internet, you can't have this impulsive nature of just clicking. You get a call, hi, you're very busy in your work, and suddenly you get a call, hi Sanjana, I'm your dad's friend, and I wanted to pay money to your dad, but he said, I don't know these GPay and all, so he said, give it to my daughter. I just transferred you 20,000, can you just check? And at that time, you see a SMS coming saying that 20,000 rupee is being credited in your account.
Right.
And then the next moment, and this is how they scam you. So now what TRAI has done, that all the SMS you will get, it will have a attachment. The prefix will be there. A -S for a service message, -T for a transaction message, -G for a message coming from a government organization, And if these prefixes are not there in your header of the SMS, that means you don't trust that SMS. You have to think twice. If it's a promotional, it will be P. So all these measures try, and as Saket said, that these all bodies are now merging together to fight the menace of cybercrime, whether it's RBI, whether it's bank, whether it's TRI, or whether even it is the security agencies.
Absolutely, and doing a great job of that. So PGST minus all of these is something that all viewers, I hope you're watching and I hope you're remembering, need to take note of. Saikat, you know, social media platforms, okay, they now require labeling of AI-generated content. So do you believe then that such measures are enough, or do you think that we need more advanced solutions to help users discern fact from fiction?
Sanjana, let me try and answer that question through three fairly successful measures that are currently going on.
Okay.
One comes from the Ministry of Home Affairs, where I4C has done tremendous amount of work, where they have first of all established very clean databases. Now that is very critical, because once you have clean databases, then as a law enforcement or as a government agency, you're far better equipped to actually deal with these kind of issues, whether it is identifying, spotting, and taking counter action against deepfakes or other kinds of online attempts to either do fraud or seed some kind of dissension among the public, etc. Second is, you look at the states of Telangana and the state of Haryana. Telangana, 2006, they started something which in 2019, they also created a proactively agency to deal with cybersecurity threats. And today they are doing tremendous amount of work as Telangana police to proactively go and look for mules, look for fake URLs, look for, doing all sorts of database management to figure out what are the linkages between scamsters, etc. And based on that, now today Haryana has shown remarkable change, where the current DGP is also looking at some measures wherein just ensuring that the banks and the police can work together very closely. Today, Haryana has already reduced in less than a year on year, 50% reduction in cyber crimes, just by ensuring that the information between stakeholders travels very fast. So if you look at these three success stories, and then you look at some private initiatives, like today, Airtel has started what they call scam or spam phone calls. That itself is leading to a certain degree of reduction in cyber crimes. Two, DOT is doing tremendous amount of work, whereas they are now signing up with several, like PhonePe. They've signed up with PhonePe to proactively identify phone numbers which are used for doing your scams, etc. But they are now going a step ahead and also putting out messages. So when you place a call, you are constantly getting educated about what kind of potential crimes, as Rakshit rightly pointed out, whether it is digital arrest, etc. What you're also seeing is that today the banks, telecom, DOT, I4C, and the state police are coming together, addressing the senior citizen aspect. In Haryana at an SHO level, which is at the police station level. They are experimenting with a program where they're proactively reaching out to senior citizens, getting numbers, and a beat constable is in touch with them and trying to see that if you need any help, I am available. And this is happening on a weekly or a monthly basis. Moment you have access to these kind of features at the state level, you are largely addressing these problems, because law and order is a state subject.
Right.
So not only building capacity at the central level, building that capacity at the state level is making a huge impact.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And I'm aware that we are running out of time almost, so I'm just going to wrap up really quickly with my last question to Abhinav. Abhinav, what practical advice would you give to individuals and organizations to protect themselves from the risks posed by deepfakes today and even in the near future?
I think for an organization perspective, the first is training the employees on how to spot, even if it's high quality, but if the content is, making them a millionaire in a day, that's something which, needs to be cross-checked. The second is using technology as much as possible. Similar to how we have antivirus on all the machines in my organization, we need to embed AI-generated content detectors at different levels, from the devices, say phones or laptops of the employees, and to the server level by using the APIs which are already available. So on the Google work, place, on the marketplaces. There are a lot of these new technologies which are coming up. So I would say train the people and then use the technology which is there and make sure that if a new type of deepfake is observed, people come across that, okay, now it's not just faces or voices, but it's full body deepfake, right? In that case, reach out to the authorities, and that will make those new categories of deepfake famous so that people are able to learn from that. So it has to be sort of a multivariate sort of approach wherein we use technology, but at the same time, we also use our own intelligence to judge if something is fake or something is manipulated.
Use your own intelligence and not so much the artificial one. Sorry, I had to do that there. But my last question, and we're completely out of time, to Rakshit. Looking ahead, what emerging trends in deepfake technology are concerning you the most? What should be the top priorities for researchers, for organizations, and for society and for citizens, for all of us to address these kind of challenges?
So threats are going to increase, and we are also going to see LLMs getting infected. So till date, we were protecting our websites from hackers, databases from hackers. Now, my concern growing is that even the LLMs and the models on which AIs are working, they also might get infected or hacked or manipulated. So the question here is that, yes, there's a lot of research to be done. And with quantum also coming in, which is going to make it more easy for AI computations, and it might give it a big leap. So for researchers, ethics is very important. We call it ethics by design, secure by design. And for agencies to foresee the coming threats as per the current data and analysis, and also to make new laws which can take care of these kind of, and we need immediate changes into the laws where we can also penalize such offenses. And that is, and for general users, stay alert, stay safe. Please control your screen time so that at least your cognitive thinking is there. I've been a victim of AI myself, when the AI said that Mr. Rakshit Tandon expired in July 2020 due to a heart attack. And this was on a very popular generative AI, which when I sent a notice, they said it was a technical glitch, and they corrected it.
Gosh.
This was so this is where what we are looking to. So, but yes, I would also like to add where Saikat said about these initiatives. We have a repository now on the website of cybercrime.gov.in.
Okay.
A data repository where you can check a suspect number, a suspect URL, a suspect mobile number, and a suspect UPI ID. So before doing any transaction or any connection with anyone online, because of all the complaints which we have received on the I4C, we have created a suspect repository there.
Okay.
And this button is available on cybercrime.gov.in, where you can check before transferring money, and there you will come to know that no, this has been reported by 10 or 15 people. So that means this ID is not safe. So that can also be used as a tool to protect our citizens.
Thank you so much. Wonderful resources and very, very comprehensive information provided by all of the panelists joining me this evening. Saikat Datta, Rakshit Tandon and Abhinav Dhal for sharing their invaluable insights on one of today's most pressing challenges, outsmarting deepfakes. So from understanding the societal risks and policy imperatives to the evolving role of law enforcement and the cutting-edge AI technologies at the forefront of detection, this conversation has shed light on the multifaceted battle against synthetic media. Do take a look at the entire conversation if you missed it today on YouTube. But as deepfakes continue to grow, our viewers, our audience, and as it gets more sophisticated, no single solution will suffice. So stay vigilant, stay alert, informed, and proactive. All of that is key. Thank you so much for watching.